Good morning, everyone. I'm Vince Androsi Okat, BS Craman A. I'm from Group 6 and I'm going to discuss about the democratization of the international system. At the end of 18th century, in response to the dilemma of size described earlier, the focus of both the theory and the practice of democracy shifted from the small association of the city-state to the far larger nation-state. Although their increased size enabled democracies to solve more of the problems they confronted, there remained some problems that not even the largest democracy could solve by itself. To address these problems, several international organizations were established after World War II, most notably the United Nations 1945, and their numbers and responsibilities grew rapidly through the rest of the 20th century. These organizations posed two related challenges to democracy. First, by shifting ultimate control of a country's policies in a certain area to the international level, they reduced to a corresponding extent the influence that citizens could exert on such policies through democratic means. Second, all international organizations, even those that were formally accountable to national governments, lack the political institutions of representative democracy. In their effort at the beginning of the 21st century to forge a constitution for the new European Union, eventually abandoned in favor of the Lisbon Treaty 2007, under ongoing struggle with opponents of the Eurosceptics in various countries. European leaders faced both of these challenges, as well as most of the fundamental questions posed above. For many of the countries that made a transition to democracy in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, the problems and challenges facing democracy were particularly acute. Obstacles in the path of successful consolidation of democratic institutions included economic problems such as widespread poverty, unemployment, massive inequalities in income and wealth, rapid inflation, and low or negative rates of economic growth. Countries at low levels of economic development also usually lacked a large middle class and a well-educated population. In many of these countries, the division of the population into antagonistic ethnic, racial, religious, or linguistic groups made it difficult to manage political differences peacefully. In others, extensive government intervention in the economy, along with other factors, resulted in the widespread corruption of government officials. Many countries also lacked an effective legal system, making civil rights highly insecure and allowing for abuse by political elites and criminal elements. In these countries, the idea of the rule of law was not well established in the prevailing political culture. In some cases, because of constant warfare or long years of authoritarian rule. In other respects, the political culture of these countries did not inculcate in citizens the kinds of beliefs and values that could support democratic institutions and practices during crisis or even during the ordinary conflicts of political life.
So our next topic is let the third world catch up into technology transfer, agricultural modernization, and industrialization. So nowadays, technology transfer, agricultural modernization, and industrialization is very important because this is the one way to develop our economy and decrease poverty because 40% of Filipino people it depends on agricultural work. So first, what is technology transfer or TT? Refers to the process of conveying result stemming from scientific and technological research to the marketplace and to the wider society, along with associated skills and procedures, and it is such as an intrinsic part of the technological innovation process. Examples of technology transfer can be found across virtually every scientific and industrial area, from pharmaceuticals and medical devices to alternative energy solution, computing, transport, artificial intelligence, robotics, agriculture, aerospace, environmental improvements, and many more.
Tax reform to finance others' socioeconomic reforms.
What is tax reform, and why does it matter? Tax reform is generally undertaken to improve the efficiency of tax administration and to maximize the economic and social benefits that can be achieved
through the tax system. A tax itself can be defined as a financial charge or other levy imposed upon a taxpayer, an individual or legal entity by a state or the functional equivalent of a state.
Tax reform to finance other socio-economic reform. In modern economies, taxes are the most important source of governmental revenue. However, taxation is not a government's only source of revenue. Taxes differ from other sources of revenue in that they are compulsory levies and are unrequited. Except payroll taxes, they are generally not paid in exchange for some specific thing. Tax reform can reduce tax evasion and avoidance and allow for more efficient and fair tax collection that can finance public goods and services. It can make revenue levels more sustainable and promote future independence from foreign aid and natural resource revenues. See sustainable revenue and reducing aid and natural resource dependence. It can improve economic growth, see economic growth, and address issues of inequality through redistribution and behavior change. See inequality and redistribution.
Tax reform to finance other socio-economic reform. The comprehensive tax reform program will help the economy grow by 1.3% by 2022. GDP will be boosted as a result of higher household consumption due to lower income tax and the cash transfers. Increased economic activity will be buoyed by increased household consumption and higher investment. Tax reform is a policy implementation by the government through which few alteration is made into the tax system in order to overcome the loopholes and enhance the effectiveness of the tax administration in the country in order to generate higher revenues from taxes as compared to the overall spending. Effects of tax reform. The effects of tax reform may not be the same for all taxpayers and economies. On the one hand, it may enhance the functioning of the tax system, while on the other hand, it paves ways for political pressures that are short-term in nature. These reforms have somehow contributed to the creation of certain tax incentives that has ultimately led to the distortion in the economy and have even marginalized not just the efficiency of the tax system but has also allowed it to become more fair and transparent as compared to what it used to be earlier. Tax reform focuses on strengthening the current tax system and widens of the tax base. Tax reforms aims at enhancing the efficiency of the overall tax system by lowering marginal tax rates, reducing taxation on investment and savings, boosting the economic development of the nations, lowering the numbers of tax defaulters, and etc.
Making our globalization work. First, what is globalization? Globalization is the word used to describe the growing interdependence of the world economies, cultures, and populations, brought about by cross-border trade in goods and services, technology, and flows of investment, people, and information. Economies. Economy encompasses all activity related to the production, consumption, and trade of goods and services in an area. In an economy, the production and consumption of goods and services are used to fulfill the needs of those living and operating within it. Cultures contribute to the exchange of cultural values of different countries, the convergence of traditions. Example, fashion such as a trendy style, material design that spread on a global basis. Population. Population change influence the movement of people, products, and investment capital among countries. Favorable changes in population age structures also have a positive influence on economic growth. In order to make our globalization work, good and services market is where household purchase consumable items and business sell their wares. The market includes stores, the internet, and any other places where consumer goods and services are exchanged. Technology has helped us in overcoming the major hurdles of globalization and international trade, such as trade barrier, lack of common ethical standard, transportation laws, and delay information exchange, hereby changing the marketplace. The flows of investment. This refers to the movement of money, the purpose of investment, trade, or business operation. To make sure that our globalization will work, we need rules and ensure that everybody can benefit, delivering sustainable and inclusive economic growth. On the contrary, we should be seeking ways to deepen and broaden international economic operations.
Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So, it is a milestone document which proclaims the inalienable rights that everyone is entitled to as a human being, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, language, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. It was the first time countries agreed on the freedoms and rights that deserve universal protection in order for every individual to live their lives freely, equally, and in dignity. It was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in Paris on December 10, 1948. This declaration also consists of 30 articles which affirming an individual's rights. The Article 1. All human beings are free and equal. So, we as a people, we are free and we should be treated in the same way. Article 2. So, everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms without any distinction. Article 3. Right to life. So, everyone has the right to live and to live in freedom and safety. Article 4. No slavery. So, nobody has the right to treat you as his or her slave, and you should not make anyone as your slave. Article 5. No torture and inhuman treatment. So, no one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. Article 6. Same right to use law. So everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law. Article 7. Equal before the law. So all are equal before the law and entitled without any discrimination to have equal protection. Article 8. Right to treated fair by court. So everyone has the right to an effective remedy by the competent national tribunals for acts violating the fundamental rights granted him or her by the Constitution or by the law. Article 9. No unfair detainment. So nobody has the right to put you in prison without a good reason. Article 10. Right to trial. So everyone is entitled in full equality to a fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal in the determination of his rights and obligations. Article 11. Innocent until proved guilty. So everyone charged with a penal offense has the right to be presumed innocent until proved guilty according to law in a public trial at which he has had all the guarantees necessary for his defense. Article 12. Right to privacy. So everyone has the right to the protection of the law against such interference or attacks. Article 13. Freedom to movement and residence. So everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state. Everyone has the right to leave any country, including his own, and to return to his country. Article 14. Right to asylum. Everyone has the right to seek and to enjoy in other countries asylum from persecution. This right may not be invoked in the case of persecutions genuinely arising from non-political crimes or from acts contrary to the purposes and principles of the United Nations. Article 15. Right to nationality. So everyone has the right in nationality. So no one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality, nor deny the right to change his nationality. Article 16, right to marry and have family. So we people has the right to have family and to marry. Article 17, right to own things. So everyone has the right to own property alone as well as in association with others. Article 18, freedom of thought and religion. Everyone has the right to profess religion freely, to change it, and to practice it either on your own or with other people. Article 19, freedom of opinion and expression. So everyone has the right to think what you want and to say what you like, and nobody should forbid you. Article 20, right to assemble. Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association, that no one may be compelled to belong in association. Article 21, right to democracy. So everyone has the right to take part in the government of his country, directly or through freely chosen representatives, that everyone has the right of equal access to public service in his country. Article 22, right to social security. So everyone has the right to social security, and it is entitled to realization through national effort and international cooperation, and in accordance with the organization and resources of each state, of the economic, social, and cultural rights indispensable for his dignity and the free development of his personality. Article 23, right to work. Everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favorable conditions of work, and to protection against unemployment. Everyone, without any discrimination, has the right to equal pay for equal work. Everyone has the right to form and to join trade unions for the protection of his interests. Article 24, right to rest and holiday. So everyone has the right to rest and leisure, including reasonable limitation of working hours and periodic holidays with pay. Article 25, right of social service. So everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or other lack of livelihood in circumstances behind his control. Article 26, right to education. So everyone has the right to education. Education shall be free, at least in the elementary and fundamental stages. Elementary education shall be compulsory. Technical and professional education shall be made generally available, and higher education shall be equally accessible to all on the basis of merit. Article 27, right of cultural and art. So everyone has the right freely to participate in the cultural life of the community and to enjoy the arts and to share in scientific advancement and its benefits. Article 28, freedom around the world. Everyone is entitled to a social and international order in which the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration can be fully realized. Article 29, subject to law. So everyone has duties to the community in which alone the free and full development of his personality is possible. The last but not the least, Article 30, human rights can't. The last but not the least, Article 30, human rights can't be taken away. In this article, no society and no human being in any part of the world should act in such a way as to destroy the rights that you have just been reading about.
Making Globalization Work by Joseph Stiglitz. I have written repeatedly about the problems of globalization, an unfair global trade regime that impedes development, and an unstable global financial system that results in recurrent crises, with poor countries repeatedly finding themselves burdened with unsustainable debt, and a global intellectual property regime that denies access to affordable life-saving drugs even as AIDS ravages the developing world. I have also written about globalization's anomalies. Money should flow from rich to poor countries, but in recent years it has been going in the opposite direction. While the rich are better able to bear and risk of currency and interest rate fluctuations, it is the poor who bear the brunt of this volatility. Indeed, I have complained so loudly and vociferously about the problems of globalization that many have wrongly concluded that I belong to the anti-globalization movement. But I have believed that globalization has enormous potential as long as it is properly managed. Some 70 years ago, during the Great Depression, John Maynard Keynes formulated his theory of unemployment, which described how government action could help restore full employment. While conservatives vilified him, Keynes actually did more to save the capitalist system than all the pro-market financiers put together. Had the conservatives been followed, the Great Depression would have been even worse, and the demand of an alternative to capitalism would have grown stronger. By the same token, unless we recognize and address the problems of globalization, it will be difficult to sustain. Globalization is not inevitable. There have been setbacks before, and there can be setbacks again. Globalization's advocates are right that it has the potential to raise everyone's living standards, but it has not that done. The questions posed by young French workers who wonder how globalization will make them better off it means accepting lower wages and weaker job protection can no longer be ignored. Nor can such questions be answered with a wistful hope that everyone will someday benefit. As Keynes pointed out, in the long run, we are all dead. Growing inequality in the advanced industrial countries was a long predicted but seldom advertised consequence of globalization. Full economic integration implies the equalization of unskilled wages everywhere in the world. And though we are nowhere near attaining this goal, the downward pressure on those at the bottom is evident.
What are movers,
What are
and
movers
shakers?
and shakers, the powerful and influential people as in politics and business?
The Business Management Associate Degree Program prepares students for entry into management positions in a variety of businesses and industries.
An organization or enterprising entity engaged in commercial, industrial, or professional activities. Businesses can be for-profit entities or non-profit organizations. Business types range from limit. Businesses use raw materials to create processed materials and component parts. Generally, these are sold to other businesses for further processing or inclusion into final products, although some sale